Dear friends, it was just a few weeks ago. It feels like a lifetime, but it was just a few weeks ago that I took this container on Ash Wednesday and opened it up to put ashes on our heads, to say, remember that you came from dust, and to dust you'll return. To talk about the importance of giving up the superficial things that we so easily learn to trust in, and to count and throw ourselves fully onto the one eternal foundation that'll last forever, and that is the strength of Almighty God. I had no idea what was going to unfold. And even though I didn't know about a pandemic or all the implications that it would have for us, I must say that Christian faith is very well equipped to help us in this and every time of trouble. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in time of trouble. And so I want to start by sharing with you some verses from Romans 8, which I hope that you will continue to cherish, when he says, beginning with verse 18, I consider that the sufferings of this present time are not worth comparing to the glory that is to be revealed to us. For the creation waits with eager longing for the revealing of the children of God. For the creation is subject to futility, not of its own will, but by the will of him who is our source of hope. And we know that the whole creation has been groaning in travail until now. And not only the whole creation, but we ourselves, who have the first fruits of the Spirit, and we groan and wait for our adoption as children of God. For in this hope we are saved. Who hopes for what they see? But if we hope for what we do not see, we wait for it with patience. I wanted us to have a little bit of time to talk. First of all, I want to just say how much I miss you and how much I miss church the way I have done it all my life. You know, shaking hands and being with people and going to the hospital to visit with them, and not only going to people, but gathering people. I mean, that's my essential way of pastoral ministry for all my life, and I miss you very much. And I want to thank all of you for the ways that you have reached out during this time to ask about me and ask about my family and send notes and cards and phone calls and texts and emails. And that kind of connection from you has been wonderful, a wonderful gift to me. And I thank you for it. And I want to say I'm really proud of our staff that we are not communication experts, like video, that kind of thing. I mean, we've had to learn, and we have, and we've had to adapt to things that I at least I had no vision for, whether that's worship by Zoom, or an Easter without being in church. I've got to tell you, I had a bad attitude about that for a long time when I saw it coming. And but through the shared gifts that our varied staff members have, we were able to sustain spiritual roots in a number of different ways, and actually probably were able to reach more people than we would have for all of the in-person things that we have traditionally done. So it is quite a parable for us that we are making changes that we wouldn't have sought out, that we would not have immediately wanted. But there's always a way to reach out to people in love and to share the gospel. So let me talk to you for a minute about what's next. And so many of you are asking, when will we be back? And the answer is, as soon as it is safe. The thing you can know for sure is that nobody wants to be back in church more than we want church to be going. And so between we are now and when decisions are made at the government levels and at the general church level, we're going to do our very best to provide connections and spiritual hope and strength to people in this time when it is not safe for us to be gathered together in person. And we have a wonderful safety team. Thank you, Dr. Peggy Wilhide, Sherry Lee, and David Bullens give us the perspective of a physician, nurse, and emergency management people. And they're watching every day for the latest updates, not just that relate to the general world, but to Iredell County. And so we are really getting the best information we can. We are meeting together on a regular basis, not in person, but on a regular basis to keep updated. Now, originally I had thought, okay, we're going to stay at home for 4 weeks and then turn into, 6, and it just keeps going. And then we're just going to come back. We're going to have a big celebration. We're going to have a big party. We're going to have a big church-wide meal. It does not appear that that's going to be able to be the way we come back, that we're going to have to give very careful thought to coming back, how we come back in a way that remains safe for our people, and especially for those in the high vulnerability categories. And many of our church members are exactly in those categories. And so we've got good people already thinking about it and asking the right questions and talking about how we can safely social distance, and that will have some implications for us, maybe even for the whole next year, about how we do worship and how we gather and when we gather. But we promise to communicate that to you as soon as we get some idea of a timeline and how that can most honorably and in holy ways be done for the safety and the spiritual support of our members. So keep us in your prayers. We'll be talking to you about what guidelines we'll need to follow for safety in an ongoing way, even after the stay-at-home restrictions are lifted. But I assure you that very good people that love you and people that love our church and people that love our gatherings are giving this really, really great thought. There are a lot of you who are asking, how's the church doing financially? And I want to say a word of thanks to everybody who has supported the church in such wonderful ways financially during this time when we can't be together. It has really been wonderful the way that church members have stepped up and recognized that the church still needs your financial support. And so we are actually doing much better than we thought we would be. Usually losing a Sunday to people being present is like a backlog that we never catch up with. That has not been the case this time, and I hope that you will continue that. You read in Broad Focus that we still have a deficit in terms of our annual needs, but that deficit is almost exclusively what's left from the carryover of unpaid pledges from 2019. So please remember how important your financial contributions are to the church, and thank you so much for your faithful giving. There are other people who have asked about if the church has applied for the payroll protection program, which was passed by Congress. And I'm happy to say that the officers of the church have been working on that, and our application is almost complete for the second round of disbursements. We haven't heard any more than that. But yes, we do intend to do that, hoping that we will get some help in providing salary support for the staff during this time when we can't be together, that would save us from making any kind of cuts based on this interim time. The other thing is the annual conference has done a lot to do their part to help us. And so the annual conference, out of their reserve funds, for example, they are paying the church's portion of the clergy insurance and health care for these 3 months' time during the pandemic. And that's, so they are picking up some of what ordinarily would be our financial obligations. And so we are grateful for your support, and we're grateful for the help that's available. So until we can be back together, We're going to continue to try to provide the spiritual growth opportunities that they don't make up for your being in your Sunday school class or being face-to-face, but we're finding other ways. Carolee has a book club that is done by Zoom, and my Disciple Bible study class, we are continuing by Zoom, and we're happy to host groups to do that. Aaron has started a Bible study by Zoom, which means that it's interactive and you can talk back. There's a Zoom worship service that is spun off from the 9 o'clock well service. So that's an interactive service that you can participate in. That's every Thursday night at 7 o'clock. And when you get the email, you can just click on the link and see what that kind of worship is like. I am going to be beginning tonight to provide, for Wednesday nights for the next 3 weeks, a study on living the resurrection and the centrality of the resurrection in everyday life, based on a wonderful book by Eugene Peterson. That will be on FaceTime Live, and then it will be posted to the church Facebook page, so that if you can't watch it live, you can watch it at your convenience. The same thing is true about a nightly story time for children with stories of faith and assurance, beginning at 7 o'clock on FaceTime Live on the church Facebook page. If you are not on Facebook, it's perfectly fine. You can still go to the church website, www.broadstreetumc.org. At the very bottom of the homepage, you can find the church Facebook page. So you could take advantage of these spiritual growth opportunities or postings or those things, even if you're not on Facebook. So we're trying to offer a variety of things that you can participate in remotely, or things that you can listen to and use in your devotional and spiritual growth time. And we will continue those offerings. One other thing we're going to be doing is, after this 3-week study on resurrection, we're going to begin a series on pandemic questions. So, like, where is God? And how do I cope with loss? And, all kinds of different, more practical help things that we'll be beginning soon. We'd love to have your questions. And so if you've got questions, if you would email them to either me or Carolee or Aaron, we'll be working on that to give responses that we hope will be helpful as we all get to the place where we're going to try to regroup from what we've been through. I just want to remind you that all of the principles of the faith are still in place. And there are still lots of ways to be in touch with people, to reach out and share the love of Christ. So think about the people that you sit around and in church, or you see in Sunday school, or you see in a group that you meet with, and pick up the phone. Give them a call, send an email, send a text, send a card, but find ways to keep on sharing the love of Christ. I'd also like to encourage you, please, to invite your friends to participate in Broad Street. Sometimes there are people who, feel a little put off by the formality of our sanctuary, and we're hoping that when they participate by live stream on the website every Sunday morning at 11, that they'll get more and more familiar with the riches of the resources that Broad Street offers to people. And so every Sunday morning, I invite you to join us, to have the joy of knowing that we're together. And together in heart just is the richest and maybe the most powerful of all of the ways that we have communion together. And now I invite you to remember the gift of God's abundant, creative, redemptive work. Romans 8:28 tells us that in all things, God works for good for those who love him. And we are absolutely sure that that will be true of this time too. And now may the grace and the peace of our Lord Jesus Christ be with you, and may it continue to bless Broad Street in new and powerful ways. God bless you.